Hello, Fight fans. Seattle Mike Fights with Friends. Everybody, please make sure and hit that like button. Don't forget to make sure you are subscribed and double tap that notification bell so you're notified whenever we drop a new video or go live. And we got one more real quick now. YouTube has added something called the Super Thanks. So we've had the Super Chat in our live streams for a while. Now they have something called Super Thanks. If you look at a video, this video was my interview with Randy Couture several years back. If you look to the right of where the like button, dislike button, share, and download generally are, I've circled it in yellow there. It says thanks. You hit that super thanks. You can donate. It looks like between $2 and $50 is what they have right now. And many of you have already donated. So thank you very much to all those that have donated. That is quickly becoming a great new revenue stream for the channel. But let's get into the topic of the video. Cain Velasquez, as most of you know, has been in jail since his last bail arraignment on March 7th. That's because on February 27th, Harry Goularte, this monster that has been accused of molesting several children. It sounds like maybe Cain's 4-year-old daughter. And they believe he may have molested her as many or more than 100 times. I'm not sure how they come up with that number, but it seems obvious that the father, Paul Bender, and his mother, Patricia Goularte, were at minimum irresponsible and complicit in allowing a monster like that to live in their daycare while they ran it. Or at worst, possibly were just supplying this monster with victims. And, I would want to look into, exactly what kind of people these two individuals were around these children as well, since they were so flippant and, disregarding to the safety of these young children. Just real peach of people. So I won't spend a whole lot of time on what happened. Most of you guys realize what happened on this day, on February 28th. The next day, they have this monster at his bail arraignment. And they're waiting for the judge to set bail. This judge, Judge Brown, Judge Shelyna, I think it's Shelyna Brown, gives bail to this guy, this monster, over the objection and request of the district attorney, the local district attorney. And a lot of people are very shocked. And not only is she so unconcerned with this serial child molester that she's going to let him out on house arrest. She says, I'm going to allow this guy to be driven by his stepfather and mother to the place to pick up the electronic ankle bracelet. We're not even worried about him traveling over there. Then we're just going to say, hey, just hang in your house for a while, just like everybody else was during the pandemic anyways. So it didn't seem, I'm sure, to Cain Velasquez like there was a lot of punishment going on for this individual. Cain's like, hey, I got to protect my family. I'm going to wait for the court to do their job. And he sees a district attorney that's willing, to lock this guy up. And I'm sure he's very confident going into this trial. Then this joke of a judge comes out and she says, basically, I'm going to let this guy free. He's free to go home. He's free to go home. We're going to monitor him, but he's free to go home. He just has to stay there. He just basically just can't work. He's on summer vacation. So, of course, Cain goes ballistic, jumps in his truck, chases the guy for 7 miles, shoots at him, shoots Paul Bender, the monster's stepfather, in the shoulder. And from there, I'm going to read SureDog's article on this. MMA Junkie, I got to give them credit, as the first one to report on this, though. So it says, a second request for bail for Cain Velasquez was denied during a hearing at the Santa Clara County Hall of Justice in San Jose, California on Monday. Judge Shelyna Brown, the same judge who denied bail to the former UFC champion during arraignment on March 7th, determined that Velazquez will remain behind bars. Velazquez is facing attempted murder and other charges after allegedly shooting at Harry Goularte, who is accused of molesting a relative of the Velazquez on multiple occasions. Goularte's stepfather, Paul Bender, also a piece of garbage, was shot in the shoulder during the incident, which occurred on February 28th. As I said, MMAJunkie.com was the first to report the latest details in the Velazquez case. Here's the words of Judge Brown. She said, the reason this court says that is because this was such a reckless disregard for human life, Brown said. In this case, it is not just Mr. Goularte and his family. It is every single citizen who was in danger of being shot or rammed with a vehicle at the time of this 7-mile case. This court is not thinking only of Mr. Goularte and his family. This court is considering every single citizen in Santa Clara County who was in proximity to this alleged incident. For these reasons, there are no least restrictive means that will satisfy this court about the risk to the community. This court will not grant bail at this time. It will not change its prior ruling. So she's not willing to admit that she made a mistake. And, after the amount of time that's gone on, she's going to double down on this. Now, was Cain a danger to citizens and people out there when he's chasing this person for 7 miles in a truck and shooting? I think pretty much everybody, if they're honest, has got to admit, yes. Cain was off his rocker going after this guy. He had lost his mind, and I can see why. So his lawyer, the lawyer of Cain Velasquez, he came out and said, Mark Garagos talked to ESPN, said it's especially outrageous when you realize that the accused pedophile and his stepfather, who did nothing to protect the alleged molester at the daycare center, are parading around like victims. And they are. During the hearing, and we're going to talk about the extent of that victimhood parading more here in just a moment. During the hearing, the defense argued that traumatic brain injuries, TBI, and CTE may have contributed to Velazquez acting impulsively. We know that this is pretty much settled science, that, when you have concussions and you have traumatic brain injury, that it changes something in your brain in regards to your impulsivity. Even I feel like I'm more impulsive than your average person just because of some concussions that I suffered when I was younger. Of course, nothing like a professional MMA fighter. During the hearing, the defense argued this, though. They said some of the terms of a bail agreement proposed by the defense. So this is the defense for Cain Velasquez and the lawyer, Mark Garagos. Included a $1 million posted bail. This is their recommendation. Electronic monitoring, relocation to an out-of-state inpatient facility. So they're going to move them completely out of California. And constant supervision. This was not enough for this joke of a Judge Brown. So the enabler. Here comes the enabler. We talked about parading around like a victim. They allowed Paul Bender to speak via video conference at Cain Velasquez's bail arraignment, which, in my opinion, he doesn't deserve that right. Bender, who was shot in the attack, appeared at the hearing to make a statement via video call. In his words, he says, Cain Velasquez has no respect for human life. He could have easily shot the family in the car next to us, innocent pedestrians, and even young children. And partially correct on that. Cain, like I said, he was out of his mind at the time. It's several months ago, over 2 months ago. If given the opportunity, I believe he will try to finish what he started. I would. I am fearful for my life as well as for the lives of my family. No amount of bail or GPS monitor will stop Cain Velasquez. So they were going to put him out of state. They were going to put him on an electronic ankle bracelet. Apparently, Cain Velasquez is the most dangerous man in the history of California. They just do not have the tools to contain this savage of a man. And if he goes back into fighting or back into, WWE or Lucha Libre Wrestling, I think his new nickname should be the most dangerous man in the history of California. Velazquez is scheduled to return to court for a plea hearing on June 10th, where it will be determined if the case will go to trial or an agreement will be reached. If Velazquez is found guilty of attempted murder, he would face a minimum of 20 years in prison. I really hope that's not the case, and I hope it's a jury trial and not left up to this erratic psycho judge. The 39-year-old Velazquez is facing charges after firing a .40 caliber handgun multiple times into a truck carrying Harry Goularte, Paul Bender, and Patricia Goularte, Harry's mother. Velazquez was targeting Harry, who allegedly molested a close relative of the fighter as many as 100 times. I don't know how they come to that number, but I think you guys get the idea that if he did this 100 times to this girl, there are most likely many more victims out there. Velazquez engaged in a high-speed chase through busy streets of San Jose with the vehicle and fired shots, ultimately wounding Bender, who is Harry Goularte's stepfather. The 40-year-old Harry Goularte has been charged with one felony count of a lewd and lascivious act with a child under the age of 14 on February 25th. I'm not sure why he's being charged with one act if they think this was over 100 times. But Goularte was on his way to pick up the tracking device when Velazquez attacked the vehicle. Why was he allowed? Why was he allowed to go pick up his own electronic device? And Cain's still not giving bail, and there were numerous recognizable and highly respected members of the MMA community who wrote letters to the court in support of Velazquez. This included Dana White, Daniel Cormier, Kamaru Usman, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and Scott Coker. Velazquez himself released the statement via social media in April, thanking those who supported him and urging the true victims in this case to come forward. And I would urge those two, if you had a small child that was at this daycare in Santa Clara, please talk to the authorities so this monster can face justice for everything that he has done to destroy this community. But Judge Brown, she says, I've reviewed all of the letters of community support for Mr. Velazquez and the letters in support of Mr. Goularte, Brown said on Monday. The court always appreciates community interest in a case, but the court is not ruled by community opinion at all. The court has ruled only the law. The law in this case is clear. Well, she overrid a district attorney who recommended that Harry Goularte not receive bail whatsoever. So she decided to step over that to protect this child molester. Seems like Miss Brown has a soft spot for child molesters. And, maybe she's not a big fan. I don't know, maybe she's not a big fan of Mexicans. Cain Velasquez, an Hispanic young man, got the brown pride tattoo on his chest, for whatever you think of that. Maybe that's her issue, because I have no idea what her issue is. This is over 2 months after the incident, and she still feels that there are no measures on the planet, this guy can safely dwell anywhere outside of the Santa Clara prison. Cain Velasquez last fought for the UFC in February 2019 when he suffered a first-round KO loss to current champion Francis Ngannou at UFC on ESPN 1. The Salinas, California native compiled a 14-3 mark during his MMA career, earning wins over the likes of Junior Dos Santos twice, Brock Lesnar, Antonio Rogerio Nogueira, Ben Rothwell, Czech Congo, and Travis Brown. He was part of WWE from 2019 to 2020 and has also competed for the Mexican wrestling organization Lucha Libre AAA Worldwide. But I want to know what you guys think about this case. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Are you on the case of the judge? The DA? Is Cain just too dangerous to be out right now because of what he did? Should have this monster Harry? Should he have been given bail? Do you agree with the judge? I'm very curious what you guys think about this case and what should have happened. As always, I love you, I respect you, and I'll see your fine asses next time.